Our story begins on a remote, wind-battered island, a place where the danger in the air felt heavier than the danger in the ground. This was Snake Island, and four friends had come here for one simple reason: money. They made their living catching dangerous snakes and selling them. That day, they were chasing the same dream: one big catch that would make the whole trip worth it. The moment they landed, they set up an old but trusted trick. They tied a live chicken's leg to a strong rope and lowered it slowly into a narrow underground tunnel. The idea was simple. The moment a big python tried to swallow the bait, they'd yank the rope and drag it out. For a while, nothing happened. Then the rope went taut. Saint Theo, standing at the front, pulled with everything he had, and the rope snapped. It wasn't a smile on his face after that. It was fear. He knew right away. Whatever was down there was big. Without thinking twice, he decided to go in himself, telling the others to pull him out the second he gave the signal. He climbed down into the tunnel. What he saw took his breath away: a massive snake, and he'd actually managed to grab it. But then the truth hit him. This tunnel wasn't just a hole in the ground. It went far deeper than it looked from outside. Strange sounds, dead silence, a suffocating pressure, everything screamed danger. Panicked, he shouted for the others to pull him out. Outside, Arbing, the biggest, most broad-shouldered of the group, thought it was a joke. He figured Cynthia was just messing around to scare them, so instead of helping, he started tickling his friend's feet through the hole, laughing. The joke died fast when Cynthia's screams turned real. All three friends grabbed the rope and pulled together, but it was too late. Something monstrous shot up out of that tunnel and dragged Cynthia down into the dark. Arbing panicked and reached in to save him, and a snake clamped onto his arm instead. They barely managed to pull him free, and the snake, still latched to his skin, was killed on the spot. But the damage was done. The sounds still coming from that tunnel didn't belong to any ordinary snake. Something far worse was hiding down there. Terrified, the remaining friends ran for their boat without looking back. Night fell. Rain came down hard. As the boat pushed through the storm, Arbing was falling apart inside, convinced Cynthia's death was his fault. The argument was just getting started when something slammed into the boat from below. A second hit followed, this one so violent the whole boat rocked wildly, and Dabing lost his footing, tumbling into the black water. Bamiyan scrambled up and switched on the lights, while Arbing threw a rope-tied tire toward Dabing so he could grab hold. Everything happened in seconds, but the fear kept climbing. Then Arbing turned and saw it, a massive snake standing right behind Bamiyan. In the next instant, it vanished, as if it had simply melted into the water. Before anyone could react, it struck, dragging Dabing under and ending his life in a heartbeat. Arbing grabbed a spear and tried to fight back, but this was no ordinary snake. One counterattack sent him flying through the air, and he was dead before he hit the ground. Now only Bamiyan remained on the boat. The sheer size of the creature had shattered his courage completely. Trembling, he begged for mercy, swearing he'd never catch another snake again if it just let him live. But the snake didn't stop. It climbed toward him. And that's when Bamiyan noticed something strange near a camera on the boat. Eggs. Snake eggs. The real reason the giant had come after them in the first place. The moment it saw its damaged clutch, its fury doubled. Bamiyan didn't stand a chance. Days later, the story shifts. A frightened woman was leading a man named Shen toward her house. Shen was a professional snake rescuer, and a dangerous snake had gotten into her home. The instant Shen stepped inside, he noticed something. Snake eggs. It turned out her husband had taken them from somewhere he shouldn't have. Shen told her plainly that snake had come for its eggs. Just then, noise erupted from a room upstairs. Shen rushed up to find the woman's husband and child cowering in a corner, while a venomous snake reared up in front of them. It struck at Shen too, but he was too skilled. Within moments, he'd controlled it, using nothing but a rope. As the relieved child thanked him, Shen said quietly that snakes aren't evil, then told the boy to tell his father never to steal snake eggs again. Right after, Shen's friend Maffin showed up and held out his phone. A news clip was playing. Police had found Bamiyan's body and belongings washed up on shore, and it was clear this wasn't an ordinary accident. Shen didn't hesitate. He went straight to the Wildlife Protection Association, laid out photos of Bamiyan's body, and pointed to the bite marks. No ordinary snake made those. According to him, they matched a Titan python, a species that could grow up to 15 meters long and existed in only one place, Snake Island. Shen wanted to move fast, get the government to declare Snake Island a nature reserve. But a senior official from the Environment Protection Division, Zhao, cut him off. Records from the International Snake Conservation Organization showed that snakes of that size had gone extinct nearly 58 years ago. Instead of arguing, Shen simply played the last footage from Bamiyan's camera. It showed the Titan python clearly. The room went silent. Every eye in the place went wide. The decision was made. Zhao would go with Shen to Snake Island to find the truth. Before they left, Zhao learned something else that changed everything. Shen wasn't just a snake rescuer. He'd once served in the military, and he was a descendant of the legendary Snake King bloodline. Elsewhere, a wealthy real estate developer named Penn was preparing to turn 4 abandoned islands, Snake Island among them, into a tourism project. He'd already sunk a fortune into it and had no intention of backing out now. That drive led him to a man named Jin, notorious in the black market for catching and selling snakes. Penn understood exactly what he needed, someone ruthless enough to wipe every last snake off that island. He placed gold bars in front of Jin and made his demand clear. Shen had to be stopped, no matter what. If Shen proved the Titan python was real, Penn's entire investment would collapse. Jin didn't hesitate to agree. He wouldn't let that happen. The next day, Shen, Zhao, and Muffin set off by boat toward the island. Along the way, Shen spotted another boat through his binoculars, Jin and his men heading the same direction. Shen understood immediately. Jin and Penn had struck a deal. Once on the island, Jin's crew set up camp and began planning how to capture the Titan python. Everything seemed under control, until it wasn't. One of Jin's men, Mutao, wandered off to relieve himself. His dog, tied up nearby, suddenly started barking wildly at something in the bushes, then broke free and vanished, and never came back. Mutao's fear turned to real terror when he felt something massive closing in on him fast. He staggered back to camp. Clearly something terrible had happened to him, and right behind him, a giant cobra slithered out into the open. Chaos broke out as everyone scattered until the cobra froze, hood flared, in front of one man. One wrong move, and he was dead. That's when a young woman and 2 men, siblings, stepped out from a nearby tent. Despite the danger, they settled it the only way that felt fair. A game of rock, paper, scissors. Winner takes the cobra. Hung won, and he handled the snake like a professional, bagging it in seconds and delivering it straight to Jin. Shen arrived just as this was happening and demanded the cobra be released immediately. Tempers flared. Jin, mocking him, said if Shen could take the snake back by force, he was welcome to it. The confrontation turned physical fast, and Shen's military training showed, sharp, precise, and fast enough to overpower Jin and reclaim the bag. Jin's men raised their weapons on Shen, Muffin, and Zhao, but Jin himself called them off. He'd lost this round, but his expression made it clear the real game wasn't over. Shen and his friends released the cobra safely and spent the rest of the day gathering evidence of the Titan python's presence. Night fell hard, and rain followed. To escape the storm, Shen led them to an old cottage his grandfather had built by hand, abandoned now, standing alone deep in the forest. The moment they stepped inside, a rotten, fish-like stench filled the air. Shen tensed immediately. The Titan python had likely passed through recently. While they were still checking the place, they found a body in the corner. Zhao and Muffin froze in horror. Shen recognized him instantly. It was Arbing, Bamiyan's friend. The wounds made it obvious. He hadn't just been attacked. He'd been swallowed alive. Shen decided that once they found a signal, he'd report the body to the police so Arbing could be given a proper burial. They noticed a large hole in the cottage wall and quickly blocked it with heavy furniture to keep anything else out. Zhao went to change out of her wet clothes while Shen cooked. But while changing, she got the unmistakable feeling that someone, or something, was watching her. She scanned the room, saw nothing, and shook it off. After dinner, Muffin found an old photograph in a chest belonging to Shen's grandfather, a clear image of the Titan python. Around the same time, Shen and Zhao both felt that same presence again. When Shen tried the door, he found it had been locked from the outside. Then Maffin noticed something moving under the cloth covering Arbing's body. Too scared to speak, he watched as Shen pulled the cloth back to reveal a venomous snake hissing beneath it. Shen grabbed and flung it aside, but the danger wasn't over. A second snake bit Muffin almost immediately. Shen used fire to drive both snakes back and grabbed anti-venom from his bag to treat Muffin. But before he could use it, one of Jin's men crept up behind him and jabbed him with a syringe. Within seconds, Shen's body went numb. He could barely move. And the two venomous snakes were closing in again. Outside, one of Jin's men dragged Zhao out of the cottage against her will, clearly intending harm. Just as things turned dire, the Titan python emerged from the trees, seized the man in an instant, and hauled him screaming into the forest. Zhao broke free and ran back inside, finding Shen and Muffin in bad shape. With what little strength he had left, Shen pointed toward the antivenom. Zhao didn't waste a second. She administered it to both of them, and they pulled through. By morning, the group had recovered enough to keep searching. They found a massive shed snakeskin hanging from a tree, solid proof the Titan python was real. But Shen knew it wasn't enough. They needed something more concrete. That's when they found Yang lying on the ground, barely clinging to life. Shen gave him the last of the antivenom without hesitation, and Yang's breathing steadied. But Zhao noticed strange residue on his skin. A clear sign the Titan python was close to laying eggs, or already had. They carried Yang back to Jin's camp. At first, everyone assumed Shen was responsible for his condition, and tension exploded. But once Yang came to, he made it clear it was the Titan python that attacked him, not Shen. Jin's attitude shifted instantly. Grateful his brother had survived, he offered Shen a mountain of gold. Shen refused outright. He hadn't saved Yang's life for money. Instead, he asked Jin to release every captured snake and abandon the island for good. Jin wasn't ready to walk away entirely, but after some back and forth, they struck a smaller deal. Jin would give Shen a vehicle instead. Shen accepted, and he, Zhao, and Muffin drove off. On the road, Zhao voiced her fear. The Titan python had likely already laid its eggs, and if Jin got hold of them, things would only get worse. She insisted they needed to take an egg themselves. There was no stronger proof of the creature's existence. As they drove, Shen finally told Zhao the truth about himself. He was a descendant of the Snake King family, and protecting snakes had always been his real purpose. His grandfather used to say the Titan python still walked the earth, though Shen had never taken it seriously, until he saw Bamiyan's footage. Now, all he wanted was for the government to protect the island so no one else would die chasing greed. Right as he said it, the Titan python crossed the road directly in front of them, close enough to stop everyone's breath. Shen turned the car and gave chase, hoping to finally capture solid video proof. Suddenly, another vehicle cut them off. Inside were Jin's man Kong and his sister, both convinced Shen was responsible for their brother's death. Words gave way to fists almost immediately, and the fight dragged on until Shen knocked Kong out and Muffin subdued his sister. That's when they realized Zhao was missing. They split up to search for her. Zhao, meanwhile, had tracked the Titan python alone all the way to its cave. Finding it empty, she worked up the nerve to shine her torch inside and found a nest of massive eggs, exactly the proof she'd been searching for. She climbed down, took one egg, and started back up, when a hand grabbed her ankle. It was the same man who had tried to assault her outside the cottage. He'd been swallowed by the Titan python, but had somehow survived, and now, consumed by rage, he swore that if he died, she'd die with him. Zhao remembered she'd kept a small vial of venom she'd extracted earlier and threw it straight into his eyes. As he screamed in agony, she climbed free. But in his thrashing, he knocked an egg loose, shattering it, right as the Titan python returned to the cave. Seeing its broken egg sent it into a rage. It seized the man and finished him instantly.